So we're going to look at this replay of a Wraith King who gets 200 last hits 20 minutes into the game and how you can replicate something the same or maybe even do something better. So straight away here, Wraith King does not have a super amazing start in terms of last hits. He has 27 last hits and it's 6 minutes into the game. That's not a huge amount what he's capable of, especially as an immortal player. Now, he ended up getting a lot of kills in this lane, and in terms of kills and deaths. So Wraith King died twice, he got 2 kills and 4 assists, and pretty much he kind of won this lane, but his last hits do not directly reflect that. Now what he does is he pushes down the lane, and Pudge does not have a teleport to come back to the lane. He's after dying 2 times in a row, and this is where he just pushes down the tower and puts immediate pressure in and kills the tower 7 minutes into the game. Now Pudge as a hero as well has a hard time of pushing back creep waves quickly, and this is where, even though he has maxed out Wraith, he's not able to clear these creeps very quick, and he's also not able to push down towers very easily. So by pushing down Pudge's tower, it makes it a lot harder for Wraith King, or sorry, it makes it easier for Wraith King to do his stuff. Now this is where stuff starts to get important. We see here he cuts down this tree and right at this spot, and this allows him to walk through this area quicker, but more importantly his skeleton men are able to walk through here too. And where we go now, this is like probably the most iconic part of this farming strategy with Wraith King, is you put down this observer board, you get to see this neutral camp and also this one, and this is where our skeletons can now see up the high ground and know where we're going next. So at the start of the 9-minute mark, Wraith King had 45 last hits, and at the end he'll have at like 10 minutes he has something like 60 something last hits. But something that a lot of people underestimate is that the skeletons are actually really strong, and they're able to kill entire like neutral camps just by themselves until they run out. So you should keep using your Mortal Strike every single time that it's available, and all Wraith King has to do is just walk from one camp to the other, click the skeletons, and even what will happen with the skeletons is that wherever you start aggroing or whatever you use Raid Fire Blast, that's what the skeletons will go on to. So right now, even just by looking at it, we can tell that the skeletons are just going to go to this neutral camp right here, because those are the only ones left. Now the issue is that where we see Wraith King right now, where does he have to walk to the next neutral camp? We have the choice of going up here to the mid lane, or we can go walk all the way over here, essentially like doing a marathon. This is too far to run. Wraith King doesn't have like long enough legs to run a marathon, so he teleports everywhere. And this is what you often want to do, just as any farm dependent carry, is just to constantly just teleport to lanes to farm. And you'll always end up seeing this where people often teleport to this tower and come back and start farming this neutral camp here, and they'll start farming this ancient camp. Now ideally you always want to walk through places where there is neutral camps as well. So we'll see Wraith King do this exactly right now. So notice how he's on the right side of the map right now, and he farms the enemy side. He comes into the mid lane, he starts farming here, and then he goes over to this neutral camp and is farming this. So pretty much what he's done is he's walked from the right side of the map to the left side of the map and farmed everything in between, but he's taken a path or a route that has allowed him to farm creeps that are closer together, so he has less time walking between camps. Now what you'll see sometimes people do as well that involve a lot of walking is this is where phase boots can come into handy, where you can walk from one camp to the other. He also has his treads on Edgy, which I don't really understand. Like, I think he's trying to get more attack speed rather than just more damage. And sometimes you'll even see Wraith King players pick up a Glove of Haste so that they can just attack faster, especially when they're going for the phase boots build. So with the relic, then this like accelerates him much faster. He's using this Iron Talon that he's got always on the big ancient creep. He even throws out a Raid Fire Blast onto the big neutral creep here, or the big ancient one, and that makes all the skeletons aggro that creep in particular. So it's kind of like that fact that he has so much mana and he's not really using it to fight. It's pretty easy for him to just waste a spell or mana just to farm that little bit quicker. Now straight after this as well, just some simple stuff like you don't always have to look at the neutral camps and the radiants can burn them off. I see this constantly from looking at replays on Crusader level or even lower, that people stand around too long, either with the skeletons nearby or with their radiants. Now coming up to 20 minutes now, we're 10 seconds off. He's 196, 198, 200, exactly just 200 at 20 minutes. And we'll end up seeing that just straight after this, he ends up just pushing waves where there's nobody defending him on the side lanes. He goes all the way up to the tier 2 tower and then teleports to the opposite lane and pushes up. Now 21 minutes in, he's on 235. That's an insane amount of last hits in 1 minute period. And this is ideally where Radiance can pay for itself. So even though it might seem like a big buyout early on, it really does make a difference. So to showcase you why this is not so great on the Dire side, and a lot of reason is to do with the wards. So this observer ward here does not give you vision into this neutral camp over here, yet it only allows you to see one. But at the same time, if we decide to buy more wards here, we can end up seeing that this ward will also not really see into this camp. It's very hard to get a good ward spot. Now there is one that I have found, which is just over here. So the first thing you want to do is cut down this tree, and this way we can see with our indicator where we're getting vision. So if we place it right at this point, we want to make sure we can see into this camp, as well as seeing just into this area here where the neutrals like just spawn. So this way now we can see those neutrals. We can see down here as well. If I stand down the low ground, you can see 1 neutral camp, 2 neutral camp, 3 neutral camp. I use my skeletons, they walk up here, and pretty straightforward, they just go in and kill everything and massacre them. So, and I could like go way off here and start farming over here if I wanted to. I could go back to my lane and start farming over here, and meanwhile, so now here's an example where when the skeletons don't know where to go next, they try and find the next neutral camp, which luckily it spawned in here. But where they were trying to go was just to run it down the lane and go down the top lane and try and push whatever's there. And now you see pretty much they're still farming away. So if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more Dota content like this, make sure you subscribe.